I'm Adrian Vanderlinden of DTCC's Fixed Income Clearing Corporation.
And I'm Maria Dwyer, also of DTCC's Fixed Income Clearing Corporation.
We're here to talk about some significant changes that will affect all FICC members when New York Portfolio Clearing starts its operations.
And let's be clear about that. When we say all FICC members, we mean all members, even if you're not planning to join NYPC.
New York Portfolio Clearing, or NYPC for short, is DTCC's joint venture with NYSE Euronext. It will clear fixed income derivatives traded on the NYSE Life U.S. Futures Exchange. Now, the unique thing about this joint venture is that it's going to enable FICC members to margin derivatives positions and cash positions in a single pot, thus creating significant margin benefits.
Although the new company is still pending regulatory approval, the expectation is that it will be launched in the first quarter of 2011. We also think the central counterparty for mortgage-backed securities, along with portfolio margining, will likewise receive regulatory approval by then.
In line with these initiatives, which are aimed at improving risk management and lowering costs, we're implementing changes to some of our operational processes and risk calculations.
Probably the biggest change will be the introduction of an intraday margin call, which will be based on a snapshot of a member's positions as of noon Eastern Time.
That's right. There will be 2 margin cycles per day instead of just 1. Margin calls based on the existing overnight cycle will have to be satisfied at 9:30 in the morning, which is the current practice. So that doesn't change. Margin calls based on the new intraday cycle will have to be satisfied by 2:45 p.m.
So Adrian, how soon will I know what my obligations might be for the intraday call on any given day?
The intraday clearing fund requirement will be posted to the report center by 2 o'clock, and it'll be based on your unsettled positions at noon. To help members anticipate what their intraday margin requirement will be, we'll generate a VAR CUSIP detail report based on a snapshot of their 11 o'clock positions.
So Adrian, how can members satisfy their requirement?
Intraday margin calls will be issued from members who don't have sufficient margin collateral on deposit to satisfy their intraday requirement. Members who use our clearing fund management system, CFM, will be able to post both cash and securities. Members who don't use CFM can only use cash to satisfy an intraday margin call.
Now that participants will be getting margin twice a day, will that increase their clearing fund requirement?
Not necessarily. Now that we'll have an intraday margin cycle, we won't be needing the margin requirement differential anymore. So that component, also known as the MRD, will be eliminated from the clearing fund calculation. As a result, a lot will depend on a member's trading and settlement activity, which will determine their noon positions.
Well, it's also important to remember that thanks to the introduction of portfolio margining, members will now have the opportunity to cross-margin GSD and MBSD positions. The net result of all of these changes will vary from participant to participant. Members will be receiving simulations shortly to help them understand the impact on their particular situation. So Adrian, what else will change when NYPC goes into operation?
Well, for GSD, we're also introducing an intraday funds-only settlement process to handle mark-to-market payments. These payments will be processed automatically at 3:15 each afternoon through the Federal Reserve's National Settlement Service. That's the same system that we currently use to handle the existing funds-only settlement obligations at 10 o'clock each morning.
That's for GSD. What about MBSD? How are mark-to-market calculations for an MBSD account processed?
The Mortgage-Backed Securities Division includes the results of the mark-to-market process in the clearing fund requirement. So for them, there's no need for an intraday funds-only settlement cycle.
So what else can members do to prepare for these upcoming changes?
Well, first of all, they should start using CFM if they aren't using it already. CFM, as I mentioned earlier, stands for our Clearing Fund Management System. It's a system that's been running for several years now and that eliminates all the paperwork around clearing fund operations. By signing up for CFM, members can benefit immediately by cutting down on manual processes. Participants should also review their portfolio elections and make sure they're still up to date. Members who choose to use portfolio margining should tell their banks and us here at FICC which accounts they'll be using going forward for funds-only settlement and margining purposes. And finally, members should also meet with their IT staff to make sure they're prepared for any reporting changes.
And if members have questions, who should they contact?
They should contact their relationship management, and they can also check out the DTCC.com website. We have a lot of information on the new procedures posted on the website under FICC, including questions that members asked us during the workshops we've held over the past couple of months.